Hey ladies, welcome back to the channel. So as you can tell by the caption of the video, today we are going to be doing a basic short full set. This tutorial is mostly for beginners, but of course anyone is welcome. So make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. As you can see, I started by pushing my client's cuticles back, and now I'm going around my client's cuticle with my cone-shaped drill bit. I really love this bit, you guys. It helps really get all of that nitty-gritty out, and it exposes the entire nail. This really is important when it comes to prep because this does help prevent lifting. Like I said, this exposes the entire nail, and the cuticle area is very important. So when it comes to prep, so you want to make sure that you are definitely doing that. And now I'm going across the entire nail with my 180 grit sanding band. You can find these for very affordable on Amazon. This is really important because this gets rid of all of the natural shine on the client's nails. The natural shine is basically the natural oils that we all produce as humans, and this acts as a barrier between the acrylic and the natural nail. So it is very important when it comes to preventing lifting and increasing your retention rate, making sure those nails last long. It is very important to make sure that you do that because those oils, again, do act as a barrier. So using that sanding band gets rid of those. So now I'm going ahead and applying the nail tips. I did go ahead and pre-size them off camera. So I'm just going in and applying a little bit of glue and making sure to apply the tips nice and straight, making sure that they are even with the prior tip. You want to make sure that you are going by the correct size. You don't want the nail tip to be too large or too small. You don't want to have to force or press anything down. You want to make sure that the nail tip fits exactly right. But if you have to choose between too small or too big, definitely go with too big and just file the sides down little by little on each side until it fits your client's nail perfectly. So now I went ahead and clipped the nails down. She is doing short. I am now going in and blending the nail tip with the natural nail. This is super important because this also helps with retention and lifting. You do want to make sure that when you are doing this step, you are keeping that e-file moving. Anytime you're using the file, whether it's the e-file sanding band or it's the regular ceramic bit, you want to make sure you are keeping the file moving to avoid friction because that will cause heat if it stays in one spot for too long. So this is my Mia Secret dehydrator. This is just another layer of making sure that those natural oils are gone, making sure that those nails are super dehydrated. And now I'm going in with my Young Nails Protein Bond, and this acts as a bonder for the acrylic to the natural nail. So these are both super affordable and you can find them on Amazon. I don't show this on camera, but I do 2 layers on each hand. That is totally optional, but I have found that it really helps with my retention and lifting. So as long as you do 1, it's fine, but I do 2 personally. So with short nails, you really only have to do about 1 to 2 beads. Most of the time I do only use 1 bead, but for the sake of this tutorial, I just wanted to, kind of break it down back to how it was when I was a beginner, and I just wanted to go ahead and use multiple beads just because I'm sure most people watching this video are going to be doing the same. So I did have a little trouble with this pinky. My client is pregnant. She is literally due like 5 days after this video, so her fingers were very swollen in some areas. It was a little hard to maneuver my brush, but we made through. The pinky was the only one that I had an issue with. But as you can see, I went ahead and applied my first bead where the natural nail and the nail tip meet, and I went ahead and just slightly feathered it down, and then I went ahead and applied another bead slightly above that to go ahead and build up my apex. And then this is my cuticle bead. As you can see, I do not place the bead directly at the cuticle. I place it slightly underneath because when you do feather that acrylic down, it will push the acrylic up just as much as it needs to be. And you do want to also remember, as you can see, I am wiping around my client's cuticles, wiping her skin area, keeping everything clean from acrylic. That will 100% cause lifting if the acrylic gets on the skin, and it's just totally uncomfortable. So you want to make sure that you're remembering to do that. And as you can see, I am constantly tucking that acrylic into the cuticle area, making sure that it is nice and flush. That is the main goal here. Well, not the main goal, but it's one of the main goals when it comes to acrylic. Acrylic nails, you want to make sure that they look as natural as possible, even though we all know they ain't natural, but it's cool though. So now I'm going in and I'm applying my first bead on this nail. As you can see, I just went ahead and placed it and nicely feathered it down. When patting your acrylic down, you want to make sure that you are just being very light-handed and feathering it down. As you can see, I use the tip of my brush to place the bead and to manipulate it, and then when it's set, or when I have it where I want it, I go ahead and I use the body of my brush to pat the acrylic down. That is super important to remember, because a lot of times your acrylic can easily get clogged in your brush, and then your brush is totally ruined, or you have to do, you know, a whole 30 steps to get it back to a good usable brush. So if you feel like you're having problems with acrylic getting clogged in your brush, definitely look at the way you're using your brush, because that totally matters. Again, I'm making sure to wipe my client's skin, wiping her cuticle area, keeping it nice and clean. And also, as you can see, I'm making sure to take my brush and I'm going against the sides of the nails as long as the free edge. And this is super important because it helps keep that shape. As you guys seen, I didn't file before doing the acrylic. I went ahead and just cut the tips, and since they're pre-shaped, it was pretty easy to keep the square shape. However, when I go back in at the end, I'm going to file them, you know, pretty crispy. So I didn't necessarily want to waste the time filing them into square just to file them again. You know what I mean? They're pretty much square now, so I know that I can clean them up pretty easily in the end. But keeping that acrylic clean and keeping that nice square shape, making sure that you're wiping the sides and the free edge to keep that shape, definitely saves you a lot of time when it comes to filing, and it makes the process a lot easier and a lot quicker. So as you can see, I'm using about 2 to 3 beads on each finger. That is what I typically recommend, especially when starting off, because it gives you a good pace. You're not using one big bead and then panicking because it's running off the nail. You don't have enough time to set it all. You know, I feel like one bead applications are normally for more advanced people. So once again, since this is a tutorial for beginners, I did not want to use that method. However, using, you know, too many beads would just be steering you in the wrong direction. So I feel like 2 to 3 beads when it comes to a short set anyways is like a perfect amount for a beginner. But if you ever feel like you need to add more, definitely do that. As you can see, I had already applied 3 beads to this pinky. I felt like I wanted to get into the cuticle area a little bit more, but as I mentioned, it was very swollen, so I kind of left it alone. But as I was looking at it, I'm a perfectionist, it just kind of bothered me, so I wanted to go ahead and add just a little bit more to really get it, you know, it flush into her cuticle. And we were able to make it work. I just made sure to get really clean, really into the cuticle with the wiping, and we were all set. So I definitely loved it better. But I say that to say, if you ever feel like you need to add more acrylic, don't be afraid. But I always say it's easier to add than it is to take off. So with that being said, just keep that in mind, making sure that you're constantly looking at your client's nails from different angles, making sure that the apex is built up, that the foundation is good. You don't want nails that are super fat and chunky, because in the end that doesn't really help you. It takes away from all your hard work, all the shaping, and nobody wants fat nails. But you also want to make sure that they're not super thin either. Although short nails barely break, if you don't have enough acrylic on there, they will be very flimsy and probably will break. So you just want to keep that in mind. You know, the cleaner you work, the better, the faster the rest of the process is. Don't rush yourself, but you know, stay paced, which is why, again, I say I feel like 2 to 3 beads is good, because it kind of forces you to see what you're doing. Each bead you can tell, okay, I need a little bit more, okay, this is going well, okay, I need to work a little wetter, a little drier, rather than you're using too many beads, so now you feel like you're taking a long time, or vice versa, you're not using enough acrylic or too much acrylic, so it's leaving your nails either too fat or too thin. You do want to also make sure that you're paying close attention to the apex area. The apex is where the natural nail and the nail tip meet, so that is why, especially with short nails, I always place my first bead pretty much right there and I pat it down, because every bead, as long as you put your first bead there, most of the time every other bead will fall over that, unless you're doing like an extra long set or a long set. I mean, if you go back and watch my previous videos, there are times where I don't always put my first bead right there, but with me being more experienced, I have like a way of making sure that I still do that. It's just a habit because I've been doing nails for so long, so I naturally remember when I'm doing those beads that get closer to the apex, how to do them, what to do with them. But from a beginner's point of view, again, like I said, if you're putting all of your beads, if you put your first bead, if you're putting your first bead at the apex, every other bead will, you move your way up. So you're placing the beads for a little further up from that spot. So as you pat it and feather it down, every other bead is going over top of that same area, which will in turn build your apex and build the foundation of your nail up pretty well. So one of the biggest tips I can give with acrylic is to just take your time and definitely just perfect your craft. Don't rush yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself, because acrylic nails, as well as anything in the beauty industry, is not easy. So give yourself some grace. That's why we do these tutorials. That's why you have the internet and TikTok and everything for you to look at and learn, because you have to start somewhere. You have to be bad at something in order to get good. Nobody just starts off good unless you're like a really good singer, but that's another story for another time. But when it comes to anything, you have to be, in order to be great, you have to be a little bit under that at some point in time to get to great. So I wish that I could show you guys how my nails looked when I first started, because I'm sure your nails right now look better than how mine did, even starting off. So just keep that in mind. Everybody works at their own pace, and you will get there. I've been doing nails for 4 years, so don't ever watch my videos and think, wow, I wish I could get as good as her, because it took some time, and you will get there. So just keep that in mind. Give yourself some grace. You're gonna get there, girl. There's gonna be a time where you're making these tutorials and not watching mine. So as you can see, the nails are pretty still nicely shaped into square, but of course we got to give the girls a crispy clean shape, especially this girl, because like I said, she is one of my pregnant clients, so she is going to be going into labor. We don't know when she's gonna make it back. If you're a mom, you know what I mean. So we got to make sure she's getting sent off A1, taken care of. So I'm just literally going on the sides of the nails, filing them at a 90-degree angle, making sure to pull my client's skin back. That is super important. Also, I'm keeping the file placed flat up against my client's nail and filing, like I said, at a 90-degree angle. You don't want to file too much on one side. So as you can see, I file a little bit and then I bounce back and forth from side to side. And when it comes to the free edge, you just place the file straight up against the nail, flat up against the nail, and file it straight up and down at a 90-degree angle. Make sure that you pay attention to the way that you're holding your client's hand and how you are angled when filing, because sometimes you're leaning to the side, or client's hand may be, pointed or crooked a little bit, and this can definitely affect your filing. So you want your client's hand or their fingers to be straight to you, straightly aligned to you, especially when you are doing the free edge, because that is the part that, if there's any angling or any slanting, it will show in your shaping. So again, as you can see, I pretty much flew through the shaping because they were already nice and neat and square. So this is what I mean when I say during your application, the neater you work, the easier the rest of the process will be. So now I'm going in with my ceramic drill bit. You can find this on Amazon, and if you are somebody that is scared to use a ceramic drill bit, and you're someone that isn't using a drill bit or e-file at all, or you're someone that's using maybe the sanding bands, you definitely that is okay, because that's where I started also. But if you do want to start using the ceramics, but are scared to maybe cut a client, they do have safety bits on Amazon, which is what I started off with, and now I am here using these ones. I definitely recommend the ceramic ones only because I feel like they are more efficient as far as speed and as far as time. Also, I feel like they just they do the job better, but that is just my opinion. So whatever works for you though, because I'm sure it's a bomb nail tech out there that uses just a hand file or e-file. But I just want to throw that out there, that if you're somebody that wants to start using the ceramics and are scared, they have safety ones for sure. So the important part of using the e-file, or not even using e-file, the important step, or the important part of this step, this part of the process, is we are sealing the cuticles and filing out the nail, obviously. So sealing the cuticles is super important, y'all, because this is what helps prevent lifting. When your client, is coming back for them fill-ins, Sealing that cuticle will make sure that when she comes back, she doesn't have any lifting. Her nails are not, you know, nothing was able to get underneath of them. They look nice and flush and neat. So you just want to start at one side of the cuticle and make sure you're making your way over to the other side. And then you want to make sure that you're filing the entire nail from top to bottom, left to right. You don't want to apply too much pressure because the whole point in this step is to just smooth the nail out. You're not trying to take off any acrylic, you just want to smooth it out. Make sure it's all even, no lumps or bumps. And so now we are at the buffing part. This is super easy. You just are going to buff the entire nail from left to right, top to bottom. And I do like to do the undersides also. I then put some cuticle oil around my clients' cuticles and the undersides of the nails, and I have her wash them with soap. That gives me a nice clean base ready for design, but in this case she's just keeping the nice bubblegum pink color, or I guess this is like a soft bubblegum pink. So now we're applying the top coat. This is, what is this brand? I'm blanking, but if you want to know, comment and I will figure it out and get back. Oh, Koopa. Yeah, 100% recommend. But super easy. You don't want to apply a really thick coat. Just go ahead and apply a coat and wipe the sides of your client's nails and cure them for 60 to 90 seconds. And yeah, this is the finished result. As you can tell, they're so beautiful, so pink, so clean, so neat, and she got matching toes, so you know she was styling for sure. But yeah, I got my girl ready for labor. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Welcome to the family if you're new, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.